Okay, I turned the recording on because we just hit 6. Hey there.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what to do.
Oh, is the chair person not here?
I have to vote for a chair tonight, but I was hoping Eric would do that.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I guess we can wait for a little while.
She has us on recording. Are we on? I mean, like, are we actually live?
Not live, we're
Okay.
recording. Yeah, we're not
Okay.
streaming live anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Megan Salvatore.
Megan Salvatore. Do you guys know each other or what?
No, she's just laughing at my glasses here.
Oh.
No, I'm not laughing at your glasses. They're lovely.
They're not mine, they're
They're borrowed.
So you're feeling a little self-conscious about
Just a little bit.
You look good.
Okay.
I work down at Columbia Crossing River Trail Center.
Oh,
Okay.
you're Megan.
I'm
oh,
Megan,
nice
yes.
to meet you.
It's nice to meet
Is
you
Hope
too.
coming tonight or not?
She is. I am expecting her to be here. I
Okay.
didn't expect to be first, though.
Yeah.
I tend to be on time.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Hope also a colleague of yours that works?
Yes, we're doing some restructuring at Susquehanna National Heritage Area. She's formerly the director of Columbia Crossing, but I will now be taking on her role under a different title.
Okay,
Mhm.
I think I might have met her. It's just while I was down there recently. Does she have like a master's degree?
Yes,
in
sir.
Parks and Rec? Or,
I'm not sure if it's in Parks and Rec. She has a master's and I think some type of history.
okay, and she looks a lot younger than she is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's her, yeah. Okay. I was surprised when she
How
told
did
me.
you know how old she was?
Well, we struck up, my wife and I were down there, and we struck up a conversation with her, and I mentioned to my wife, well, she might actually be a good person we want to introduce to our grandson.
Mhm.
And she kind of like, well, I'm a lot older than you think I am. So,
Oh, you meant for like a romantic?
yes,
Oh.
like a introduction, like.
Yeah.
A little bit of matchmaking going on.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
my wife, everywhere she goes, she does that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I worked your class out. Thank you.
Hi, Hope.
Speaking of older, how is that on record? That was the other question.
I'm sorry, what?
Is that where I put?
Public office or public employment member, so you would put Parks and Recreation Board member. And hold.
I took what's happening.
Well, I was hoping Eric could begin us off tonight, but he's not here yet. So,
Eric.
Eric, yeah. So, we might as well get started. I don't know why he's not here yet. So, all right, we'll call to order the January 11th, 2024 Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting at 6:04. Let's stand for a moment of silence unless there's clergy in the room. No, so we'll do a moment of silence. Okay, Todd, do you want to do that flag?
Sure.
Thank you.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're looking at the minutes from our December 14th, 2023. Did everyone get a chance to look at them? And are there any corrections, additions that you would like to make? Liz, looks good to you?
I don't see some stuff about, like, who was gonna talk to the ladies about what needed done and all that stuff, so I
that's because the minutes that are placed on the government page aren't supposed to be that detailed.
Okay.
So that's why your minutes given to us are extremely helpful, because that helps us to remember everything.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good, okay, so then can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Who was the motion?
Hope and
Thank
Todd
you.
was second. Okay, this is a type of public comment that maybe it'd be a good time for you to introduce yourself. And you can go up to the mic. Just tell us who you are and your new position.
Well, hi, my name is Megan Salvatore. My new position is Visitor Service Manager at Columbia Crossing River Trail Center.
So she's gonna be taking over my position on the board.
Do you live in Columbia?
I do not currently live in Columbia. I grew up in Columbia. I currently live just over the hill in Marietta.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you go to Donegal?
I did not. I went to Columbia.
Columbia. Oh, all right. Well, it's nice to meet you. I know that council has to get your application yet and go through all of that, but most likely by the next meeting, you'll be able to switch chairs.
It's nice to meet all of you guys too. I did fill out my application and submitted it, and likely will be talked about in this January council meeting.
Right,
I told her to come on the 23rd,
Yeah,
right?
to introduce
Yeah.
myself there as well.
Yeah. Manager Stivers told me about it the other day. I'm excited for you. You must be very excited.
Yeah, I'll be vice president of visitor engagement, so I'm gonna run a couple different things now instead of just Columbia Crossing.
Yeah, that's excellent.
I told her when I hired her I'd never leave, and so I'm
Aw.
only leaving because she's there.
So it feels really good that
It's very good.
Uh-huh.
I feel safe in my hands.
Well, we'll be glad to have you on board here.
I'll be happy to be there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Is there anything you need from me for that transition? Do I feel like formally, or should I just ask Mark?
Well, most often, people do a letter of resignation.
Or that
And
maybe
then
I'll ask.
it's brought before council, do you accept this letter of resignation? I don't know why, but it is. I think, yeah,
I have
so.
the email, I can vouch.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
maybe
just,
ask Mark if he wants something for the council meeting. I'm not sure.
if you did you send him an email or did you do it?
I sent an email and said like, we're ahead of the position, and so he sent her the volunteer information, but then didn't tell me what I should do. So
Oh, okay.
maybe I'll ask him.
Probably if you just do a formal, email to him and then he can print it off and just have it for council the same night we vote you in.
And he said one of the things that should probably go on a future, new business item for the Parks and Rec Board is to look at the bylaws and whether or not you just
We have them
want
tonight.
to just put a member of Susquehanna National Heritage Area or Columbia Crossing should be on the board. That way, if there's a staff changeover again, no matter what, there's always a representative from that building required to be on the board. It might be easier to do that than do, a volunteer application every time there's a staff change. Not that I've had the job for 7 years and you better not leave, so. I don't think it's gonna happen frequently, but Mark said maybe the bylaws should change, and I don't know if that's for y'all to do or for council to do.
It's for us to do.
Oh,
We are approving the bylaws tonight. We talked about them 2 years ago, but they never actually got signed and
And actually put
And
out.
put in.
Okay.
so we
Oh, that's
couldn't
right, I
find,
remember just,
yeah, we couldn't find them anywhere. So it's the same thing. It's everything that was passed 2 years ago. It's just that we're getting them signed. And perhaps changing those bylaws at that point could be something we could discuss at a later meeting.
Yeah, because you could just put it in the membership.
Yeah.
However, maybe the borough solicitor would write it, since he
Mhm.
knows what
Mm-hmm.
how to write these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for now, we can't go any further until we have a chair and a vice chair and a secretary, so. Regretfully, Eric's not here, so.
It's a little dilemma.
I know, we do, but we have a quorum, so we can put in a chair, but we can't, I don't see, it's not right to nominate someone who isn't here
Right.
to accept the nomination. Okay, so, Do we have any nominations for chairperson for, for Parks and Recreation Commission? And you said me?
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I would say that, I don't accept that nomination.
Okay.
I possibly could do a vice chair, but I'm just really, really busy. So, although I do appreciate that. So is there another nomination for a chairperson?
I don't feel equipped, just being newly appointed, but,
Can we talk to Eric later?
I have no idea why he isn't here. That is like so strange.
For him, he comes to every meeting.
And I don't think I have his phone number. I wonder if he thinks it starts at 7 because most meetings do.
are there 6 members on this board, or is
Yes, there
Oh,
are.
there are 6.
Angela's not here. Yeah.
Angela's not here.
Okay.
So the most likely,
Is there a possibility that the 2 people that are not present would be interested?
I don't think Angela would feel comfortable. I don't want to speak for her, but I'm just saying she feels new to it as well and may not be comfortable with that.
Okay.
Eric, I know, was also on the River Park meeting, so I think he would have
He'd be the most likely.
Yeah.
he'd have the base of knowledge, I think, that
Right.
would make the most sense.
yeah, I would like
Eric.
to nominate,
I think he seems to be the most logical person. I don't know with the semantics with him not being here how that works, but I think we could probably.
Lori, you don't happen to have Eric's phone number, do you?
No, I just have an email for him.
Okay.
Or do you know if we can nominate him as vice chair, but vote on it in February?
Well, he has to be present to accept the nomination. I don't even have my phone with me. But I don't know his number.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to be present to accept the nomination.
Is it possible to, I mean, is it just a mere technicality, or is it like an order of business? that
Well,
has to
we
be done?
can't move, this is the beginning of the year.
Oh.
Our chair and our vice chair aren't here anymore.
Oh, I see,
We really can't
I see.
go further without,
Okay,
I mean, we can talk about other things. We don't need to make any decisions, but
Mhm.
we really need to have, are you willing to continue on as secretary, or would you like the position of vice chair? Would you like to get a little bit more involved? Could we nominate you as vice chair?
I can, as long as I have support in that, because it's new for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just need support.
Message, I don't know if Eric's gonna find this,
All
but
right, thank you.
I put them on Facebook, because I love Facebook.
I appreciate that.
Might work, might not.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so can we officially nominate Elizabeth Andrews for Vice Chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board? I make a motion. Do we have a second?
I don't have a second, as long as we would be secretary.
No, we'll get to there.
Okay.
We'll get to
I don't
there.
want to make you not secretary, and then 10 seconds later, we'll make you secretary. That's not fair.
So does anyone,
Sure.
second? Okay, so I made a motion, seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, so Elizabeth Andrews is the vice chair. All right, and what about I guess I could do secretary.
Especially because you know how they should be presented to council.
Is that too much of a?
The secretary is not, I just knew I couldn't be the chair.
Is that what goes to council though?
Pardon me?
The secretary's minutes are not what goes to council, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The secretary signs what goes to council, and I really,
Going to
yeah, I really like that Liz did all of those minutes with all the details on it for us. So I could continue doing that too.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
I motion for Barbara Fisher to be secretary.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So all we need is a chair. So let's just move forward. So Liz, as the vice chair, what you would do is if the chair is ever unable to come to a meeting, you would be the one that would handle the meetings. So since it can happen, unexpectedly, it's a good idea to go over the agenda, go over everything, just in case you have to fill in for that chairperson that night. And I think that's basically your main duty. That if the chair can't show up, you run the meeting. Okay? And then we know what the secretary does. So our bylaws, they are the same, but did you want a moment to read through them?
We need to change anything in it. I know we were talking about membership. Do we need 4 of 7 or 3 of 7 for the quorum?
Well, Eric and I talked about that, and it says membership shall consist of up to 7 persons. The only way the quorum would change is if we would change that number to another number. Like, membership shall consist of 5 persons, not more than 7 persons.
So, because we have
7, a quorum would have to stay 4, because if it was 3 and there's only 6 now, that would only be 50-50.
But when I went to council, we were talking about the Parks and Rec update, and we were talking about them going off. They were saying if we only had 5 active members, quorum was 3. I remember that.
I know, but
So
I
it's
couldn't,
based on active membership. You don't count the empty seats in the,
you mean present? You mean members who are present?
no, unappointed. So like right now, we only have, the amount of people appointed is 6, so a quorum is 3.
A quorum of 6 would not be 3,
That's what they told us at the
Yeah.
council meeting.
because quorum is 2/3. So, it wouldn't, because what if there was a tie? What if 3 voted one way and 3 the other way?
Well,
It just
4
wouldn't
to
work.
7 isn't 2/3 either. I think we should ask
4.
Yeah.
4 would be of 7, but 3 cannot be of 6.
I think you want to double check Mark, because he said in a public council meeting that we were allowed to do activities with 3 people previously with 6 members.
I did meet with Mark earlier,
Yeah, and he specified.
and as we were looking at these bylaws, neither Mark nor Eric could reconcile that. We think, it was Mayor who came up with that at the meeting, and we couldn't see, based on these bylaws, we couldn't see how a quorum could possibly be. If there's 6 people, 6 members, a quorum can't be 3.
I think we missed it. I don't know. Okay.
So, that's why it was left.
I made 6 when I joined.
Yeah. Now Eric's talking to his wife and she might join. So we might have 7 soon, but as of now, with their 6.
2 out, meeting. That's tough again.
Mm-hmm.
That's the primary problem though, is that everybody kept, if 2 people were out,
Right,
nobody could do anything. so.
right, right. Unless we want to change the number of members.
That is possible. I just read that under membership. You can reduce the number of members.
Mm-hmm.
I also mentioned to Mark that if it made sense for the Columbia Crossing representative to be like an attendee but not a voting member,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if that would help you make a quorum. You know what I mean? Like the thought process was, if it makes sense, we wouldn't fill an active seat per se, but we could maybe help a quorum. I don't know how those rules exist yet. He never clarified with me, but he said, you know, that would be a bylaw question. So maybe
It is possible to have alternate members,
Yeah.
so that when a member isn't present, the alternate takes their place, and that person is able to vote.
Okay.
So we could have Parks and Recreation consist of 5 persons with 2 alternates, and then that way our quorum would be 3.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Our quorum would be 3, and if the 2 alternates come every week, and they're supposed to come every week, or every month,
Yeah.
and keep abreast of everything, so that when somebody doesn't show up, they just come and fill the seat, and they're one of the voting members.
I think that would make sense for the Columbia Crossing Club as an, especially as because we were both deeply involved in the borough, but not borough residents. So there was this conversation about whether or not it was appropriate for us to fill a seat. So, yeah, maybe an alternate, and then there'd be another alternate spot available next to you kind of thing. If you wanted to do that, I think it would be wise, and it would help you with quorum issues.
Should we put it in the form of a motion?
Would it have to be incorporated into the bylaws?
Yes, we'll have to
Yeah.
go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
So should we make a motion?
Sure, yeah, I would motion to update the membership section to consist of 5 persons and 2 alternates. The remainder of the membership section, I think, will remain the same, except for a quorum update of 3 persons instead of 4 persons.
Okay. So anyone second it?
Can I add the Columbia Crossing bylaws if we're gonna edit the bylaws?
You add this to your,
Not to this motion, but like, can I make a second motion? And never mind, we'll do this motion. then I'll-
okay,
we-
when there's a motion on the table, we gotta follow it through. So if no one seconds it, then you can change the motion.
I'm just sort of, before, I don't know if it's still,
I can edit.
if it's still open for discussion.
Sure.
I'm just wondering I understand the logic and the benefit of being able to more easily reach a quorum. Are there strengths in numbers though? Like, is there more of a,
The problem would be that a decision would need to be made about, let's say, you know, you got a quote for that park fountain to be replaced. And the borough would say, can you guys approve it at the next meeting? But there would only be 3 members at that meeting, so then we can't approve it. So we can't go to council, so we can't buy it, so we have to wait another month. And so it tended to delay
decision-making and
Projects.
progress?
Yeah, and so then the public works department wouldn't be able to do something because they're waiting on us to get 4 people together.
Yeah.
And it would keep happening that 2 people would be out of town, or somebody was sick, or somebody's kid was sick.
Yeah, I just think that it would probably require more extensive conversation, make sure that we're really thinking things through, and with, 3 people as opposed to, 5 perhaps. I don't know if it makes a tremendous difference at all, so I think I'll be okay, I'll second that motion.
And also with our alternates, we do have strength in numbers because they
Right,
can voice, they can.
right, true.
They're just not gonna vote if they're.
So it sounds like a really good setup. Okay,
So you second it?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, did you get that, Lauren?
I did, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll work on those bylaws again.
Good suggestion.
I was gonna say, may I suggest if we're gonna change the bylaws to, ask them, the borough, to consider changing the bylaws about the membership, or putting
That would
it,
be for us to consider.
yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, could I make a motion here that we, make one of the membership alternate spots a representative from the Columbia Crossing? Since it's one of the borough parks, it's the only park that is staffed, with staff. And I think it would be wise that one of the alternate spots be dedicated to a staff member of that park.
Yeah, and that would be consistently,
You'd always have an alternate here.
yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm allowed to make an additional motion, I guess I'd like to motion that one of the alternate spots be dedicated to a Susquehanna National Heritage Area staff person who works at Columbia Crossing. So that way, the 5 main park membership spots are reserved for residents, dedicated volunteer residents or council people, elected officials.
And then what if, so if one of the alternates has to be from there, so does that put like limitations on someone from the community that would like to be a part, like with that?
Well, I think it frees up a committee spot, because I sit as a voting member, and so it makes another spot for a full committee member.
Yeah,
I think I'm trying to make more space for a resident park user and have our staff as kind of advisory. We can come in and help when you need us to help, or other projects, or just report on Columbia Crossing. Because originally, Mark Cyrus thought I would just come and tell you what Columbia Crossing was up to. Come in
we're
and,
glad you did more.
but I'm glad I wanted to do more than that, and so
So we.
so yeah, that's why I think the alternate position kind of fits well. We're not taking a voting role
It
unless
does,
you need us to, you know?
it does fit really well. I just don't like putting restrictions on something. Like we put it in our bylaws, it's, you know, I just don't know what issues that'll face. How about consider?
They should be considered first for an alternate position or something?
Yeah, he said to me that he thought it should be in the bylaws because with a staff change, or say Megan can't make it, I could come in March.
Yeah,
But right now, as it stands, I would be resigning as a person,
right,
and she is coming on as her person, so I can't alternate for her.
no,
So he was like, it makes sense for any staff member that works at Columbia Crossing to be able to come to the meeting.
yeah,
Maybe I come sometimes, she comes times, maybe Sophia, who's our program coordinator, comes when you guys are gonna discuss a summer, program or a kids activity. You know, he was
So
like, I
you're
think it should be a
so you're
staffer.
talking about an alternate person just being a staff member, not necessarily a person.
Yeah, he's saying this, that's what Mark told me. He said, I think the bylaw should say a staff member that works at Columbia Crossing.
Yeah.
So that whoever's the best fit for this committee shows up to the meeting, or more than one of them show up. You know, that it just said a staff person.
I mean, we're thought, it's actually not Mark who makes the decision, it's us who makes the decision.
I think that's an
And I would need
interesting
to think that
concept.
through.
The one thing that I think would be, I understand that the flexibility of that,
Mhm.
always having a representative from,
Yeah, that if you needed
From
something, we'd
Susquehanna.
always be there, yeah.
right. But I think there's value in having consistently the same person,
Yeah,
just because there's, historic knowledge, there's,
and my
and
thought
also,
process is it'd be her about 90% of the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's like an
It'd be
invested
different.
interest,
Yeah.
right? There's an invested interest. You have sort of like, an idea of like where we're
What's coming up.
going, what's happening.
And really, any of them can come to a public meeting.
Yeah.
And be a part and come up and speak and give advice or let us know what's going on there.
And I think, as a team, Megan could certainly, go back and work within the team.
Yeah.
And sort of, sponge off of, the collective group at Susquehanna.
That's absolutely
And
what
bring
we
all
do.
those opinions
Yeah,
to this board.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine. If you stick with Megan just for now, how long are the bylaws, good for? 2 years ago?
4 years.
Well, we can bring them up for review anytime.
Oh, okay, then I think not tonight.
Yeah, I would just like to think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Consider,
Oh, you're asking about just the bylaws? Yeah.
I'm saying the bylaws are there like but you're saying they can be edited at some other time.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, then yeah, I think first motion stand, everything my second.
Okay.
membership even.
Well, the motion just fell to the floor.
We did, yeah, good job.
All right, but it is, I mean, we are gonna keep it before us and we're gonna
Yeah, just
certainly
consider it.
consider it. Okay, so then we have the town square.
I can give a little update on that.
I have a little bit too, but go ahead, you go first.
I saw Jake Graham today, and we were actually talking about this. The only thing that he wanted me to update was a couple things that, we talked about what maintenance they do, but we talked about the fountain specifically. That's what we had brought up back in, I think, November, that they wanted us to consider replacement of it. And he said that there was a number of times in which the fountain, when it was operational, was vandalized or misused. Specifically at one point, they filled it with a lot of soap, which
Yeah,
had significantly damaged it. So his recommendation was to keep it simple, if it means taking it out and putting a sculpture in instead. He would recommend doing that. If he feels like, as a very busy, transient spot of town where lots of people are going through, he's just concerned that that might happen again. So he said that, and then he said about, that he normally does the maintenance work in partnership with the parks, or the park rangers and the shade tree commission, who does a lot of the landscaping in that park.
yeah.
That's all he updated me on. But I asked him if there was a quote for the fountain. I think quote said $26,000 was the repair quote. He was like,
Yeah. Yeah, he had also said that, they removed the snow there. And, he was gonna check the mortars that you guys all talked about. And he said if it's real simple, not too much to do, their department can do it. But if it is, then we need to call in someone to get a quote. But he hasn't gotten back to me on that, so I don't know if he actually went to look at it yet. And also like the fountain, and I was wondering if maybe we could throw some ideas of what to have there in the middle. In the middle there, I thought about getting the art community involved and having them compete, I don't know, have a competition or something and submit their drawings or their ideas and maybe have the community vote on it, or I don't know. And then I thought of maybe, people have always said about getting a bench and a table where you can play chess or checkers. There'd only be room for one, but
one table, yeah.
yeah. So any other ideas?
I liked the art idea. I thought a sculpture in the middle of that.
I think it's
Existing
interesting
circle.
because interactive art.
Yeah.
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 Like, I don't know, a small Pennsylvania Railroad car that you could take a picture with or something.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that, but an interactive piece of art that would represent or show up in photos online or,
That speaks to
generate a little
Columbia.
bit of tourism.
Yeah, somebody
more soon.
speaks to Columbia.
Not one of
Made
those.
by,
Not another light. No more
No,
bridge art. Too dumb with bridge art. We're numbers everywhere, isn't it?
What was it, the Reading something railroad? I mean, we had the railroad station down there. It was very active railroad here years ago. I'm sure we could tie it into history. Let them, let the art world just figure it out.
Yeah.
We want it,
What's the art community?
Yeah.
I'm not, is there a big art
oh,
community?
yes, yes, I'm very active.
Switchboard
Yeah.
Gallery.
Yeah, Switchboard Gallery, and she's like the biggest known person for the art stuff here.
Yeah, she runs the gallery, and then they opened another one next to, we were just talking about Susquehanna River Creative Collab.
And then you've got, your higher end ones that have been in town for ages. It's
Like
a pretty good art
Clee,
community.
yeah, like, Garden
Right.
Gallery has a great gallery. She would have an artist community to reach out to.
Elizabeth, who was the person you mentioned?
Columbia Cruise.
Allison,
Allison Lightgott?
pardon?
Lightgott?
We've got,
I've got
I
that.
don't know.
I'll have to write that down.
Either one is good.
She
They're-
has
they're
a
right,
short
it's-
studio, yeah.
Allison Leadgott, Lightgott.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of galleries. Yeah. And we're hosting a sculpture exhibit in August, which will be able to give us a nice list of sculpturists.
So the old fountain, what can be done with it? Where would it go?
I like that. I like the idea of having there be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like cut you off, but back on the topic as far as like the generating ideas for what to do, I think that soliciting the art community as far as like a competition or some sort of,
Okay.
maybe, forgets the word that I'm trying to come up with. It'll come back to me. But, so you had mentioned, Elizabeth, like, your question was what would we do with the old fountain?
He did
Do you have
tell
a
me it was
suggestion?
removable, so he said they grabbed it and they've taken it down. What did he tell us
He
today?
said that they've had to take it down to their location along the river to service it and fix it in the past and then reset it.
So it's definitely mobile.
Is there somewhere
Is it-
somewhere else?
We could check. Do you have any suggestions?
Not yet, I'm just, it hasn't been used a lot, it's been there for not super long number of years, I mean, yeah, but not super long.
I have to walk up and see it. Is it big? Is it like,
No, probably it's something.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, like
okay.
it's been a
It's like a lawn,
trolley truck or something.
a large lawn fountain,
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is, he didn't tell us when we were talking to him whether or not the plumbing problem is in the fountain, like when they take it out, it will still be broken, or if it's like in the ground. So if they take it out and the fountain still has a plumbing problem, or it still doesn't work, then maybe can't reuse it. I don't know.
Well, so I could ask Jake about it and think of places that you think might be able to use it or want it. But yeah, you're right, we shouldn't waste it. So the art community, if they had a competition, what would be our criteria? Is interactive one of
I
them?
think size would be the most important for the space.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put
Size and height would be the
Size
most
and
important
height.
for the space, because it's a small pocket park.
You have to
So,
describe it, yeah.
so can we just give them like the area of the place where the art is going to be? And then they take it from there?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And we want it to be interactive?
You want it to be Columbia, let's
And
speak to Columbia.
Yeah.
Could represent.
Interactive and
Like either railroad or Rivertown related, or
relate to
Columbia.
not a big shifter sandwich, so.
I mean, if you say pizza pie, they could do like a crimson tie thing, like I
I was thinking that, what about the tidal wave? Like, what about the tidal wave?
They could do, I think we could leave that as open as you can, right? They have to
Yeah.
find the inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds, like, there's the iron ore, there's the
Yeah,
the
but I
lumber.
think it should relate to the borough and not like just the school. Or
Yeah.
just, but the whole borough.
Yeah.
I like that.
Call it Columbia culture.
Yeah, Columbia culture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go. Columbia culture.
yeah. So we would just ask, we can frame this competition by saying, we have certain criteria we'd like,
Yeah,
we're envisioning to go into the middle of the park.
Yeah.
Eric's on his way.
Is he?
Yeah.
Did he think started as something?
He did.
When he comes in, let's tell him use the chair.
No, I texted him, I said, we would like, I've been Harvard to do the chair, and so would everyone else. And he was like, yes, that's okay.
Oh,
And I
really?
said, we started at 6, and he's like, oh no.
I was right.
Well, he's the only one that has had dinner so far, so
Yeah.
he can treat us to dinner at the next meeting.
Yeah, he accepted the
Somebody
nomination.
said, do we all agree that Eric? Good.
Sure.
Okay, Eric's the chair.
Now, didn't you say he had to be here to accept
He did it virtually.
it? He had to be
Hey,
here?
Facebook, that's.
There's,
You want me to screenshot it? That's so funny.
There was something else about that fountain that the volunteers that are needed. Did you guys see the sign
said
for,
that park ranger would do it. So she does, right?
For what? Taking care of that park?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that Park Rangers and Shade Tree Commission,
Yeah.
have been working on it. Shade
but then
Tree,
what about Mrs. Thomas and Mrs. Lutz? What are they doing that they don't want to do anymore?
they had been doing regular spring and fall plantings of like perennials.
That's what they want replaced.
Well, I think when, speaking of keep it simple from Jake, he said, I think there should just be native annuals,
Planet.
yeah, planted. And
So
That'd be a
it's
lot easier.
less maintenance.
Yeah.
he's like, we need the maintenance and we can put, like, the park rangers down at Columbia Crossing get mulch every year. So we give them the mulch and they put it out. Jake's like, I can do that. I can get them mulch and put it out. He's like, but I can't take care of planting perennials every
Right.
spring and fall. I don't have enough guys, so.
So I wonder
Annual.
if we talk to Mrs. Litz and Mrs. Thomas and ask them to do one last thing, plant perennials this spring, and then from then on, Shade Tree Commission will take care of it, and Public Works?
My wife would love to plant. She
Really?
would love to do that.
Oh, then let her do it.
I could volunteer her to do that.
Yeah, I think,
She has a flower farm business called Mariposa, it's Spanish for butterfly.
Oh,
So she actually grows flowers at our property.
cool.
maybe we recruit your wife.
We call them the town gardeners,
She-
Mrs. Lutz
She,
and
Yeah.
her friend. We
she
call them
retires
town
at the
gardeners.
end of this year, so she'll have time.
Yeah.
But seriously, she could galvanize some people to help maybe create like a little community project out of it.
And I think Shade Tree would assist in the planting.
Sure.
Let's set up a meeting between her and Mrs. Lutz and Mrs. Thomas.
Shade Tree.
We'll wait till the weather gets nicer, they can meet right up there.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your wife's name?
Sherry,
With an S or a C?
Sherri.
And does she have the same last name?
No, she decided not to change it until after she retired.
Are you serious?
It's a lot
I
easier.
thought I was
So
joking.
it's actually, her last name is Groh, Groh.
Great for the planning ground.
Yeah.
I'd love to just supply, if it's okay, that if you were to consider transferring to PA native plants, that it would be a benefit to the garden in a lot of ways. It would provide habitat, it would take care of itself, and it would secure the soil. And you could also utilize some local groups like Master Watershed Stewards that have their own resources and volunteers to help plant, pay, and maintain spaces like that in town.
Okay, that's
And
super.
maybe do you want to tell them why you know that?
I am actually a Penn State Master Watershed Steward for Lancaster, Lebanon, and Dauphin County
Oh,
for the last few
Native
years.
Plant planting.
So
I need
when,
edible native plant plantings for my house.
I can help you with that.
so it seems like there's a lot of resources available.
yeah, and when these three ladies meet and they pass the baton to his wife, could you be at that meeting?
I could.
Okay, that'd be great. All right. I think that's all for the town square unless someone else.
Can we like once in a while to get the tap out of there? And I know we're not putting anything in
Okay.
right away, but just to get that out of
Yeah, go
there.
ahead and make the motion.
I'd like to motion that we get the fountain out because that's not gonna be there anymore.
And let's add to it that we'll,
We're gonna look into like connecting with the art community to come up with ideas for that space.
or like where to put the fountain.
That too.
With that
I
motion.
think, the fountain.
So how do we do that? Yeah, the fountain will be removed and placed in a location
In a temporary
To be
storage.
determined.
to be determined by Public Works.
Yeah, they'll have to tell us whether or not it works, so.
Could you spell that out for me? It got a little convoluted.
A motion was made to remove the fountain from the town square and to a location to be determined by Public Works Department. By Liz, and Hope seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we good? Okay, so the last thing is, the Maple Park Subcommittee. You all received those copies that the the council voted on.
Hey guys.
Oh,
Chair.
I
You're being chair.
No, I can't be.
what I said?
You said yes.
You told her you were.
I
No,
said yes.
no.
Was that not yes to that?
Hi,
You
how
said
are
you're
you?
coming to the meeting.
I said, oh yeah, are you coming to the meeting?
Well,
We would like you to be chair, and you said yes, and I was like, who wants to
Oh.
be chair?
Oh, you put that all in one thing, that's good. That's
That was
clever.
sneaky, wasn't it?
Yeah,
That's solid.
almost.
Come on.
Chair, we have a vice chair.
You kept telling me 7 o'clock when we were making dinner.
We have a secretary.
Sorry.
No, you guys are
Wonderful. And hopefully then, so that's not a choice.
sorry.
This is her, hopefully her replacement.
Right?
And I feel pretty inept and not equipped because I'm so new.
Do you live in Columbia?
Outside, I have a Columbia address, but it's not, I live in West Hempfield Township.
Okay. I didn't care. Now, we were just talking the bylaws.
Did you want to hear what we all voted on for the bylaws? You wish you were here.
No, I don't wish.
They want to, we all
I have
decided,
copies. They're very good.
we all decided that the membership will consist of 5 persons and not 7,
Okay,
with 2 alternates.
that's fine.
And then I recommended at some point one of the alternates be a SMHA staff person. Just in general, because right now Megan's a volunteer person, I'm a volunteer person. I'm taking up a resident seat. And I thought maybe we shouldn't take up a resident.
So she's gonna be added as an alternate.
Well,
And
hold on a
then we have
second.
5 members.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, no, wait.
No, say it again.
There'll be 5 members, 2 alternates.
Right.
So our quorum will be 3. So if a member doesn't show up, someone from the alternate will come and be voting in their place.
Right.
That should help the quorum.
Well, what about the location?
What do you mean location?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll have to change that. You're right.
So
So
how many have to be from town?
if there are 5 members, then
Where's that?
I would say
Just-
3.
halfway down where it says 4 of the 5 members reside within Columbia Borough.
Okay.
So if there's 5 members, 3 of them,
I would say 3.
what about the alternates? Should they be Columbia members or no?
I don't think I think you make 3 of the 5 Columbia residents.
And then you make the 2 alternates could be like, we're volunteers.
It could be anything.
We're vested in Columbia, but
Yeah.
don't
It could be
necessarily live in
anything.
Columbia.
Just
I think
not,
that's reasonable.
just not outer space aliens.
Yeah.
So then we would already have a full board.
Well,
She would be an alternate, and if your wife decides that you would like to be more
No, I'm
involved,
fine.
that is your wife.
I'm going. She's my tag team partner.
No, he's trying.
Wait, you're telling me she's chair?
Oh, no. No.
All I'm saying is,
She's like, I'm staying in the alternates license.
my goal was to be on this board just so it's a success and it can function.
I know, and I'm happy about that.
And if I can talk my wife into doing this board,
Yeah.
so I don't have to be on it, I'm taking it.
Well, okay, so you really don't want to do chair, is that true?
Yes, I really don't because
Liz, would you like to do chair?
We got duped.
I would do vice chair, and you can be the secretary.
I don't know.
I don't know, Todd, what do you, Todd, this is your career, right?
Not exactly.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I mean, I have a passion for recreation, you know, so the recreation side. And I have a degree in fitness management, and so I'm a wellness manager for a retirement community. But I have a huge hobby interest in parks and recreation.
Yeah.
Should we hold till Angie?
Why are you stepping down?
We're just transitioning who's the member of the board. So I got,
You both can be members.
and I'm running not just Columbia Crossing, now I'm running Columbia Crossing, the Zimmerman Center, the vote towards the
She got a
Yeah.
promotion.
We all work, okay?
We all work, okay.
She's like the vice president now.
I'm the VP now, so she's just replacing me.
Right.
She's in, I'm out, just like you and Michelle.
Yes.
Right,
Right,
sorta, kinda.
yeah, I have a tiny baby, so I'm gonna not work nights anymore.
Liz, if you want to be chair, I can be vice chair. If you feel like you're,
I do not feel equipped, but I feel like I have support, especially with 2 council people on, so
I will try to make meetings. I just
Eric
don't,
makes meetings,
I just don't
I
wanna be
love
committed. I just don't wanna be
For
committed.
all of us.
and if River Park goes away, you'll have one less meeting.
Fair part's not gonna work. Why is that?
We'll meet on the 25th, but I think it's gonna have to die, we'll see.
Well,
Or we'll put it
year-
in here.
What year are you
yeah,
on
put it
this?
in here.
On
gives
this
more-
Second year, I have 2 more years. Oh, here,
for the Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec, this is just the first year,
Okay.
so,
We joined together.
yeah. And it was just, because
Everybody's-
people were leaving, just
We're
to
the
keep
old
it
heads.
going.
Yeah.
You're, Angie and you are last.
That's why
year.
you should be stepping up and taking roles.
I asked if I should bring my resignation letter tonight or just email it tomorrow.
Did you talk to Mark? Was that,
Yeah, we transitioned.
she has to
Okay,
go to
sure.
council?
She's already submitted, yeah.
We're just doing things totally backwards.
Love her, she's trying to follow your
This
banter.
is the chair.
Well, we need to do motions. We-
Okay,
you know,
I make a
and
motion.
I'm not sure if we need to remove her as vice chair or if you just do a motion to make her chair now. I don't know what happens
I
there.
make a motion to, who did we didn't do any, okay. I make a motion that we remove Liz from vice chair.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I make a motion that we appoint Liz chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. Are we doing this right?
Yes.
Board,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna stay the secretary. Okay.
Yes.
So I make a motion that Todd Canfield be vice chair of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I can solve that.
Okay, are we good?
Jiminy Snickets, yes.
So,
Everything I'm getting overtime.
Don't tell anybody. We
so,
did
Laura,
this.
this brings up a question now.
It's all
What?
recorded.
All our boards do this, and theoretically, at the start of the year, there's no chairman.
Yeah.
You missed that part. We already talked about that. You were eating tacos.
Yeah. So somebody has to
Asian tacos,
commit,
they were good.
who would represent,
Well, we were gonna have you do it, but you weren't here. So
Well,
I
then
jumped in and
well, you
did
did a fine job.
Wait, I have a question. Have we changed the membership motion for the number of individuals that are supposed to be borough residents? Or do we need to make a motion?
Oh, yes, we do.
We didn't
Why don't
talk
we-
about
why don't
our
we
residents.
change it? Did you already make a motion to
Not
accept that?
change it, we're adding this to it, because we didn't talk about this at all.
The motion was motion to change the membership section of the bylaws to 5 members and 2 alternates. That's it. That's
So do
it.
you want to make another one for residency?
Are you recording this?
I am, yes.
And I think we have to, oh yeah,
So,
we can make a motion to change,
4 of the 7.
You want 3 of the 5?
4 of the 7 members to 3 of the 5 members be Columbia Borough residents.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
That was
Todd?
Eric and Todd.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me the motion again. Motion to change the bylaws.
From,
Membership section again.
Article 3, membership.
From 4 of 7 residing in Columbia Borough to 3 of 5 residing in Columbia Borough.
and actually, if
Should we,
you're the president, you should be looking at this meeting.
yeah, you should do it now, we voted you.
There's only one item left on the agenda, Liz. It'll be fine.
You can do it, Liz.
Laura's gonna do it. Laura's gonna tell everybody, I don't wanna do parks and
No.
Rec anymore.
And I told Teresa, I'm not saying anything tonight, and here
I
I
got
am.
I have no comments.
Do you need to add about how the alternate members can be either?
No.
Okay,
That's part of the
leave
3
it.
to 5, that's part of it.
Okay.
alrighty. Okay, Liz, go ahead and take over the last thing on the agenda.
Discussing the forming of a Maple Park subcommittee. Does anyone want to make a motion to create a Maple Park subcommittee, or what does that involve?
Can I make that motion?
Okay,
We can motion it and second it, and then we can talk about it.
Or should we talk about it in a motion?
No, we have to motion and second and then talk.
Okay, I motion that we should form a Maple Park subcommittee for the Maple Park revitalization project.
Do we have a second?
second.
Okay, so now we can talk.
Everybody seconds.
We talked, Sylvia and Kurt both said they'd be interested in the ad hoc committee, so I thought definitely would be really good.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, what to call it, and, like, what do you think of calling it the Maple Park Committee instead of ad hoc? For the reason being that we want to get people from the neighborhood, and I think it will be less intimidating for the people from the neighborhood to become a part of it. Like when I first heard ad hoc, I was like, what's that?
I
So
think,
if we use the word committee, I think it'll
Sounds
be more user-friendly.
I think we have to call it an ad hoc committee, only because an ad hoc committee takes time.
But the River
And
Park
purpose?
committee is called
That's
a,
different, it's not a borough function.
No, wait, what did you say? The ad hoc committee does what?
An ad hoc committee is for a period of time, and it has a purpose.
so I think you should say revitalization, or Maple Park Revitalization Committee.
And
But
it has to be ad hoc though. It's
But
not a separate committee.
But this is my other point. What if we work in the future that this committee does not dissolve, but it remains?
That would have to be something totally different then, I would think.
And it would be a Maple Park committee, not just for fundraising, not just for the revitalization, but for the, yes, the overall,
I get what you're saying,
I mean,
and that's why I'm going to River Park though.
River Park is an ad hoc committee though, it started out as
It's
ad
not,
hoc.
it did, it's not anymore.
Oh, and it got
It's
moved,
not a borough function period.
it's just an advisory committee.
They come to the borough and make recommendations.
Do we want the Maple Park committee to be an advisory committee?
Okay, so here's what I want, I do agree with this.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the advisory. I'd rather keep it an ad hoc for right now, only because we have a purpose for it right now. If they come back and ask to change it, that's totally different. But the reason I'm going with this is, I think the River Park should have an ad hoc committee, which is what you're referring to.
Okay.
And I think McGinnis should have an ad hoc committee too. We should start trying to get members from the Manor Street area involved in that, because we're gonna put a brand new park in out there in the next 2 years probably.
The only reason I question that is to ask the question
And to get
of,
something started now, I think is important because of grants and research and what you wanna do and everything else.
do ad hoc committees, Lord, you know the ad hoc committee? She's like, I don't know anything. Are they held to the same minute standard? Because the point of making River Park an advisory only committee was that
There's one of
they
the
didn't have to
best,
do all this.
there's one of the best ad hoc presidents I've ever seen.
Chair,
Chair, and you sat on that board.
which one?
the River Park Planning Commission.
The
I don't
comp
think
plan.
she was on it.
I wasn't a complaint. Nobody
Yeah,
had
we
a
do have to
complaint.
follow, ad hoc, you have to follow minutes, you have to follow
So,
government
you
things.
have to follow quorum.
No,
I don't think so.
no, they have no
No.
decision making. All they can do is do a recommendation body. So they would come back,
So it's the same as an advisory group, but it's not the same as an advisory group?
it is the same as an advisory group, but they have a purpose. This is their purpose.
Okay.
We created a planning, a comprehensive plan, and then the comprehensive plan was brought to the ad hoc committee, and then we voted, we agreed, yes, we want to give this to council. And then council looked at it, and then they decided, they all voted that this is our comp plan, and then it went to Lancaster County. So, but yes, we had to, you had to keep minutes, we had to keep attendance, it
The
was
argument for
official.
legal being easier from Sylvia and Kurt was that like this was a big lift and it was slow to get things done
Mhm.
and they were interested in being on an advisory committee that could be more flexible, work outside of the committee to fundraise, and then within, just give recommendations to the borough and move on, give recommendations to the borough and move on. And so
Well-
I'm thinking of them when I'm saying that I recommended advisory committee, because they wanted to participate, but they did not want to have to do motions,
The
have
quorum was
seconds,
the issue.
have
In order to
quorum.
make it easy.
So then they were trying to make it easier to help, and they needed a more flexible attendance, like they couldn't be here every single month.
Okay, so I will say, this whole Maple Park thing, I have a couple concerns with it. First of all, they received grants already. They have drawings and stuff already. I haven't seen any of it.
We did, Parks and Rec committee
It's all
here, we all did.
For Plymouth Borough.
You need to
And we
get
all approved it, and we approved them going through the grants and
So-
recommended
so
it
get
to
that-
these
council.
binders.
So that's the exact same,
Plan that was drawn up already.
Yeah.
what they're talking about now.
Master plan, yeah.
Because we just voted for the
Engineering.
company engineering, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still the same thing.
They all received
Same thing.
copies of it.
Okay.
I think there is a little bit, I
We
don't
had a
think we
few
did
things
as
we were
as
gonna-
much.
Yeah,
There are a few
that happens.
changes.
That happened, but it is the original 2019 plan, and this committee recommended to council to go for the grant with the plan.
So the way an advisory committee would work is they come to us.
Yeah.
And then we go to
Council.
council. It actually may be a slower process because of that.
But an ad hoc would go from there to council.
Now, the house would go back through us, but it'd be faster because they can make decisions.
But how much can they really change the plan?
Oh, they can't change the plan. Once
So
it's in and we
what-
have the money,
If
What?
the plan's there, the money's there, what is, I'm so for the group of Maple on its own, but what is the purpose if they can't change the plan?
I think, was it the fundraising efforts? Was that the purpose?
the fundraising efforts, we have to follow government rules or whatever. If someone, like if a church said, we're gonna organize a fundraiser for Maple, they wouldn't have to follow all of that.
So,
And another reason why I think it should be a committee, a Maple Park committee, is so that the neighborhoods, if somebody comes to me and say, I want you to be part of this committee, but all I want you to do is raise money for what my idea is, I'm gonna say, well,
But that's what's happening.
forget that.
That's not what you were gonna say.
the master plan is the community's plan. The community came and designed that plan. They pitched those plans, they asked for more basketball courts. So you're not asking them to fundraise for something they don't want. You're asking them to fulfill the dream they asked for. But that's how master planning for recreation works. I just want to be clear that we're not doing something the residents don't want.
Not that they
That's
don't
not what
want,
we're doing,
but
right?
that's not all we want of them. We value not just their ability to raise funds, but their ability to take ownership of the park, it being a neighborhood park, the neighbors spending more time in the park, them deciding activities and recreation that they want to have in the park. And I see it more as the neighborhood having a committee and letting them have control of the park eventually, but they're still under us. They still come to us, but who knows, eventually, maybe they won't.
Do they not have control of the park now?
Kurt does already.
That's what I mean.
Kurt does a lot of,
Kurt
Kurt does a lot of things in the park, but the park is empty a lot. There's a lot of drug stuff going on in the park.
Yeah.
But if the neighbors themselves were actually, if it became a neighborhood hub where people were in and out, and I think as people in the neighborhood, as they realize that they have personal investment in it, because their voice matters, because they have a committee, because people are going around and asking them what they want in their parks. I just think they would take more ownership of it if it was a committee and not a government ad hoc.
I think the borough's responsibility is to provide the clean, safe, accessible space though, and that's what the plan is. So, until then.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the plan, I'm talking about a momentum that goes past that.
But
Once everything is put,
But
is
that's not what
built.
That
Rick's
would
Park
be-
was, right? That's an ad hoc that turned into a regular committee?
Well, the ad hoc kind of met its purpose. And that was to build the center.
Well, yeah, that was to fulfill, well, now they wanna do phase 3, so it's to fulfill.
Right, I'm
fulfill the
saying
master
at that
plan.
point, the ad hoc committee was done,
Yeah,
and now it's just what they can do for Maple is they can,
do the revitalization
They can
project and then.
get a bunch of people to sit together and say, hey, in somebody's basement, say, hey, I wanna do this, we should do that. Hey, let's have a barbecue this weekend and fundraise. And then come to us and say, hey, we'd like to fundraise for whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I kinda agree with you. We're gonna supply the property, we're gonna supply
Clean, safe, accessible amenities,
yeah, and that's all we can do.
The neighbors supply keeping the park safe. The neighbors supply keeping the park clean.
No.
The neighbors supply, they don't now because they're not invested in
But
it.
they don't at Rotary, they don't at Locust
Why,
Street.
why don't they
They
invest?
do it, I don't, because it's our thing,
No,
because it's government thing.
no, I can't buy that.
We say what's gonna happen in the parks and then we tell them what's gonna happen. I just think government's too much involved.
Revitalization committee is to make sure that as it's being constructed, the community understands what's going on, and as we take away some of the amenities, because we're gonna say, oh, the parking has to close because we're bringing new parking. The basketball courts have to close for this amount of time, that we're doing this project and communicating well with the neighbors and in the community that's using the park. But you have to communicate with the park users. So if the committee is for doing a good job of communicating with those residents, I absolutely think it should exist. I don't want it to be a place where we tell them they have to take care of a public park.
Not have to, but if you're invested in something, you do it.
Yeah, I just hate, it
You know?
come off like we're telling them, we're gonna build it, and then if it goes to crap, it's your fault. And that's a dangerous thing to do, right? Because people said it about River Park, right? You're gonna build something really nice, and then it's gonna get ruined.
And they're saying
that's
this-
not what happened.
They're saying this about Maple right now. We're building this, we're putting all this money, we're putting all this money into it, and it's just gonna go to pot because the people there aren't gonna care about it. And the reason why they're not gonna care about it is because we don't allow them, we don't make it their park. We make it our park.
We didn't, that park plan, we had meetings at Maple Park.
Oh, yeah, I'm not talking about
No,
that.
that's not in that plan. That plan is already pre-drawn up. When we had that meeting thingy there, that was not part of it. That was
But
just
that
a-
plan was from 2019, and I went to public meetings where Kurt Edmond and members of the Maple Park neighborhood said, please build us more basketball courts.
Okay,
You know what I mean? That part, we
okay.
didn't make that plan for them.
yeah,
They said what they wanted. I would never have, as a person who doesn't use Maple Park, I wouldn't recommend 3 more basketball courts in there.
yeah.
They said, please build us more basketball courts so we can have more kids in the park on a regular basis. You
I
know,
get
they are
that.
invested.
But I'm talking about when that's all done to keep it going. Kurt may be invested, a couple people might be invested, but the whole neighborhood surrounding it is not.
This might be an initiative that we would want to somehow facilitate, like this board putting some energy behind, not just for Maple, but maybe for like all community parks. Maybe there's something where,
I've been thinking that, because you mentioned Guinness, so Rotary, Maple, Guinness should all have a little community advisory something about it.
Or should they all just be here? Are we making committees that should all just be here? Why make more meetings if we should just be doing it here?
Because people,
They would have the
Well, there.
opportunity maybe to talk, and then a leader from that group could come tell us what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you don't overwhelm your participants, right? If they only want to talk about one, they only have to do it one thing. It just means that
We have to catch it all.
it's good for us to go to the neighbors, to the neighborhoods, because they're not coming here.
So if I motion to make it and we made it, what do we have to do?
Well, I don't
Yeah,
know,
veterans now.
does
What do you
anyone
do?
have a motion? Like after everything that was said, does anyone want to bring a motion up?
I thought we already mentioned that now.
Oh, so do we want to leave that motion on the table? Are we ready to? vote on it.
I kind of would like to add for all of them, for not just Maple, but add a motion to get a ad hoc or whatever the title of the committee is, for each part, Rotary, Maple, and McGinnis.
I personally would like to table this motion only because, I don't think we have a clear definition of what we want this committee to be.
That's fair.
I understand the reasoning, I get both sides of it.
Yeah.
But I think we have to have, it was like your committee that you ran for the comp plan had a goal, finish comp plan.
And I thought this was a finish the grant project,
Right,
finish the park project.
right.
It should be
And,
that.
and if it's not that, then we need to come up with
Well, they have to have a plan, they have to have
a vision.
a vision. We know that
We need to decide what this committee is going to be, what the purpose is. Do you want it just to be, when the park is done, this whole thing will dissolve? Do you want it just to be a group of people who raise money? Or do you want it to be an ongoing community committee that is involved in Maple Park as their neighborhood park?
I
Because I
thought,
don't wanna tell them what to do.
I thought at the at our last meeting, this committee, this board, at our last meeting, there was a specific purpose for why a committee, whether it be ad hoc or
Because
whatever.
they wanted to move forward with things and felt restrained by the rules that we have to follow in here.
But there was also, wasn't there the specific purpose of a committee coming together so that, and it was made up of people that had a vested interest in that particular
That
community that could interface with some kind of non-profit that we can latch onto so that the fundraising could be funneled through, and that we can meet the particular fundraising so that the grant could be.
So I mean, Lauren, to your point, I think you let it start maybe as it's around this revitalization project, and then I think like River Park, it can, if those members stay invested and say, hey, we did a good thing, what can we do next?
Yeah.
You take the word ad hoc out of it, you get it on its own. I think,
Or other members come in.
or the members come in and it
Community
shifts,
get involved.
right? Because River Park Committee, before Columbia Crossing existed, was all about building the park. Then when I first started, it was all about what programs and activities should happen at the park. Then they bought the 11 acres from the railroad and the committee became all about what's master planned for that north side of the bridge, right? Like, the committee developed and changed over time based on what the park needed, and maybe Maple needs that freedom too. You start it as this revitalization, and then if it grows, amazing.
And then, you know, what takes place at River Park is totally different than a small neighborhood park. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have tourists and stuff, and
But it
people
doesn't
from the
mean there
community
can't
come
be the
down.
same
Yeah, it
core
can be.
people.
Yeah, it can be. I just fully believe that if people care about their neighborhood and they care about their parks, they're going to be present in the park. If they're present in the park, it's going to drive out activity that you don't want to be there because the parks are full of people. And I think people will go to the parks if they feel like it's their park. And I don't mean telling them what to do, just giving them an opportunity to decide what they want to do, you know, but, you know, instead of doing what they're told to do. So,
I think everybody needs a nudge based on, I think there are people within that community that probably shares the same sentiment as you, but just needs that motivation. They need that seed planted. I view your vision as more of like this board perhaps being proactive and forming some kind of like campaign effort where we could somehow try to reach the people within the neighborhoods to kind of share this idea. And it's an ideal. It really is an ideal. You know, I'm very idealistic and almost to the point where I am accused oftentimes as being not realistic. But I like the idea. I just am trying to find out like what's the best way to achieve. Like you're trying to galvanize the community. Is what you're trying to do.
And I know that they'll hear it from members of their own community
Right.
before they'll hear it from us.
You have to have a champion.
So
within the
they'll
community.
hear it from Kurt if
Yeah.
he goes around. They'll
Yeah.
hear it from Ashley Tabernacle or, the people that are in their own communities.
Sure.
They'll hear it from them
Yeah.
before they'll hear it from us.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you have to find champions within the community that can spread the message and sort of rally the community behind that idea. Taking ownership, protecting your park, I like the word revitalization, because that speaks volumes. That's a big word that it's more than a park. It's a whole neighborhood. But the park is part of that.
Yeah.
When you revitalize a park, you can revitalize the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Front Street used to be broken windows and empty warehouses
Yeah.
and very different now.
So I make a motion, we table this discussion.
You just
And
want to
we take the
rescind your
motion.
motions and make it go
I
away?
make a
If you
motion
rescind
that
your
we-
first and your second, then it just goes away.
I
Did
make
we have a motion?
Yes.
No, wait, Liz already made a motion. You're gonna rescind. Okay.
Okay. And I say we table this and bring it up for discussion. Everybody take time to really think about it.
Yeah.
What does it mean for them?
And I think also if you could ask the borough as they're doing this revitalization project, they have the money, they have the grant, what do they need from the community here? Because you're gonna make a committee, they need to have tasks and goals that galvanizes them to say, we have a plan, we know where we're going, right? What does the borough need from that group? And if you can answer that,
Well,
we've
that's-
given them their first job, their first I'm making something good for Maple and we need to do X.
And that's for us to answer. As the Parks and Rec Board,
Okay.
that's for us to consider and us to answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we need from that neighborhood?
But what are the grant requirements? What's the master plan requirements? Most of the time, these things have to have like some public meetings as far as construction.
No, that's all done. Yeah, that's all done, right?
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah,
You should ask.
well, I'm pretty sure it's all done.
So the $40,000 per year park and rec service, can any of that go towards it?
The what?
I have to
I
look.
was told there's $40,000 for parks and rec.
No, I haven't printed out the approved budget yet, but it's not that's not it anymore.
Well,
No,
If it was, it's probably for grass cuttings and stuff like
that was
that.
for there was, 2020, what year was that?
hold on.
It was the year I came on. You guys voted and there was like $20,000 for parks, but they never used it. And
I
don't
know a
think
couple of times we voted like 39,000 for a grant for
Yeah.
river park and stuff. Don't ever recall putting money set aside for parks.
Yeah, it
So-
was there, it's not there this year.
So I know-
Is there anything there this year?
There is, I can look at it.
I know we tabled the discussion, but I just want to read something from the minutes that I think would probably help us kind of reset this discussion for whenever we bring it up again. Under new business, letter C, remake Mako fundraiser. Sylvia gave an update to the grant and where the commission is in reference to the grant fundraising. There are stipulations to the grant that require specific match. The fundraising needs to take place and ideally be managed by an organization outside the borough office and then donated to the Parks and Rec Commission. There was discussion on the possible creation of an ad hoc or a subcommittee that would consider possible fundraising ideas and various nonprofit groups in the community who could aid with the fundraising. That's the purpose of this committee. That was the original idea of why a committee needed to be formed, is to for that.
It was, and what I'm bringing forth is, let's expand that.
Okay, all right.
That was my point.
Okay.
Let's expand it to be more than, or let's envision it
Right.
to evolve into something more than just people who raise money.
And you don't think that would organically happen?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So it's all yours, Liz.
So would anyone like to motion to adjourn? We have an announcement of our next meeting is February 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. 6 p.m.
I move to adjourn. Anyone second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right. This was wonderful.
I apologize.
It's okay.
We did
I'm
a,
glad I got a hold of you because they were like, we know his phone number, and I was like, I think that's his Facebook friend.
we did our first flip brush deal tonight.
Extra tacos would have been nice.
So yeah.
And